Welcome back, guys. And the final score from our game, Grey Knights 63, DeathWatch 67.
67.
Super close game, much closer. I was expecting to be tabled when we talked about this early on. I was expecting to be tabled, and I remember, and I mean, honestly, throughout that, the damage output was insane. The damage out there was anything you were touching was just falling apart.
Yeah, what did I do? 38 wounds for the Land Raider, I think.
Oh, something like that. Jeez, that was a lot. But yeah, no, there was so much damage. Let's kind of recap some of this and what we saw, what happened over the course of the game, and what our feelings were going into this. Now, early on, I ended up going first, which that was very early on. That was the first dice roll of the game, even. I couldn't really do much, moved out. I was able to make a very nice play on attempting targets because of the Land Raider's utility to be able to take the interceptors out. And that worked out well.
I'd chosen this objective here because I thought it was further away from this one. It would have been trickier for you to get the squad out of the Land Raider, but you still made it. You still had the distance. That was a huge utility play there.
Right, and that's one of the reasons that what we were discussing, the Land Raider still has a home. It's not too bad, especially it's only 240 points. It's not that bad. But now moving over into your turn, you said, I'm going for it. You jumped, you spent the command points, you picked everything up, you brought it back there, and damaged a Dread Knight. Killed an interceptor and damaged
killed an interceptor squad of 5 guys. But what's that, 100 points? What are they, 110?
135.
Okay. Yeah, and as I had done it, I second-guessed that because I knew that you true silver armor on the Nemesis Dread Knight, and with cover, you'd still be getting 2-ups because I didn't get out. I should have waited a little bit. I kind of overextended turn 1. Really, that let you get into my backfield pretty quickly there. But it
also scared me out of mind. It also scared me out of mind and gave you the opportunity to get to the Land Raider.
Yeah,
like that's an interesting thing about that is like, well, but then the Eradicators came on and took out the Land Raider.
And then I just sat on your home field objective for the whole game.
Waiting for one secondary.
Right.
That never showed up.
Yeah, no. It was a relatively low-scoring game for both of us. 67-point win is not a huge win. But I do think this is a tough primary mission because there are just fewer objectives. You only get 2 points for holding your deployment zone, only 5 points for one in no man's land, and 6 for your opponent's deployment zone 1. And it's still kind of a low-scoring game on primaries for a lot of times. And then I just pulled secondaries were terrible. Because anytime I had a turn where I throttled a lot of damage, the secondaries I had were not kill-based secondaries. I never had bring it down. When I had no prisoners, I only killed 1 squad unit. But other turns, I killed like 3 units. So it didn't really work out well for me. But I still feel pretty good about the list. But.
No, and how many points was the Eradicator in total with the Apothecary?
They're pretty cheap. I think it's 190. I think they're 95 points for
that's not bad for them sitting on my objective and scoring you
So it's less than 300 points for them with the Apothecary with the enhancement on it.
And now for me, when you talk about that low scoring on primary, that's they actually probably gave you the win because they were scoring 6. Because for me, I lost that objective marker. Then your Calidus took the objective marker, and then over here I didn't take the objective marker until I got the Gladiator tank away. And you still scored points with that one. I think 1 turn, but that's still more than I would have liked. If I would have blown up the Gladiator tank, that would have been 5 less points over there. So early goings, you had me pushed back on primary. And then you held that. So then when I did take these 2, you're like, all right, well, I'm generating the 6 points and you're not stopping me. There was no way I could. There's no way I could get back there, land something, put enough damage to remove the Eradicators that they couldn't then turn around and pick up a 5-man Marine squad. In this game, they were horrendous for me to get into. So wherever they decided to be, which was that backfield objective, good job, guys. That's yours. I'm giving that to you. Now we get into the later game. As the game progressed, it was a bit of a back and forth. The secondaries kind of dictate the flow. And for you, it felt like your gameplay was more focused on getting me out of your backfield more than playing the secondaries. That wasn't
I turned 3 and 4. I blanked on secondaries both turns, and I don't think it was a conscious decision. Other than one of those turns, I could have scored 2 points on investigate signals, which is not worth it compared to me getting on a primary objective and denying you 5 points. So that was more important to me than the speeder that went over there and took that objective. I could have brought it back here to investigate signals, but that would have allowed you to score more points and would have given you an advantage. So even if it scored me a couple points,
sorry about that.
Yeah, it would have allowed you to score more. So
no, and it would have, and like that's one of the things in like hindsight, seeing where the points are now. In any of those moments that you would have tagged anything else, the 2 or 3 points could have cost you the game.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 or 3 points would have given me 5 more points over there in the corner. Anything, it would have potentially cost the game. But needless to say, was there a point when you landed and hit back here and started destroying things that you were like, okay, I'm going to dedicate this turn, clear everything, and move on, and then didn't clear everything and were not able to move on from it, where you may have gotten kind of pulled into a trap that now when you look back on it, maybe you should have pulled out earlier? Now, granted, you were in combat, so you couldn't pick up, per se, but was there ever a time where you're like, maybe I should pull off there and start going where you aren't and score points?
I didn't really think so, because you having multiple units in my deployment zone just would open you up to all sorts of secondaries. And with Grey Knights, it's really important when you're playing against Grey Knights, make sure that you kill the squads all the way through. Because you leave a Grey Knight squad with 1 guy left in it, well, that guy gets to pick up for free at the end of your turn, and he can deep strike anywhere he wants on the table. For 1 CP, he can deep strike 3 inches away. So they're just point scoring machines. So you have to kill them. Otherwise, they'll just run rampant over the board. And like I said, a single, as long as they pass their battle shock test, a single Grey Knight Marine can be so powerful and score so many points. So you just have to kill them. If I didn't kill you the way I did, it would have given you a lot more freedom to run around and move around and score higher.
Yeah, no, it was getting me in those limitations. I mean, I did awesome on secondaries. It was primaries where I was struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And I really was hoping that I was going to almost took that speeder out, left him with 1 wound. Left him with 1 wound, saved 1 of my 3, almost got him. That would have been 5. And then we'd be talking about a great win. But ifs on this, ifs on that, what if you killed that last Marine,
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, what if
I put a lot of firepower into that squad and they stuck around.
You
made a lot of 5-up saves.
A lot of other stuff. Now, the one thing I've been looking back on is what I could have possibly done to save that Tech Marine. I think that that was the only play I could make was fall back from combat, fail a battle shock, not fail a desperate breakout, but fall back from combat and hope you mess up. Hope that you move in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
That allows me to go, okay, I'll spend a command point, pick them up off the table, and you lose those 5 points.
Yeah. Well, part of that is my experience playing against your Grey Knights, where I know that unit with the Tech Marine had the enhancement that allowed him to bounce away if I shot at them. So I shot the guy that was there and then charged him. If I had moved any unit within 9 inches of him, you could have spent 1 CP and brought him away, denying me assassinate. So I very intentionally did not do those things to kind of, you really have to be aware when you're playing Grey Knights of every move trick and shenanigan they have available to them.
Right. And then I did the only other thing I could do, which was bank 2 CP. So I was able to true silver with that squad in the shooting phase, and which I used it on the other one to try and keep the solo dude alive. Didn't happen. And then another one onto the Tech Marine. Didn't happen. Lost them. 5 points right there. Bam. So, yeah. But honestly, I'm not disappointed at all. I haven't picked up Grey Knights for a while. A little bit of rust on like, oh, wait, I could do this, I could do that. But all in all, I'm definitely liking the direction of the list. I just need to get some paint on my servitors and my Tech Marine, and I think that
you take them out of the list. The servitors, guys, the servitors.
50 points, 2 multi-meltas.
And they hit on 3s because the Tech Marine.
Yes.
So strong.
Yeah, so they're very, very powerful. Now there is a combination where you can take 2 servitors. You take 2 4-man servitor squads. And base rules as written, they can join together. And then because the Tech Marine joins 1 squad. And then it says the servitors may join a squad that's already been joined by a Tech Marine. So now you join another squad of servitors to them. And because the Tech Marine servitor has the Grey Knight keyword, this squad can now teleport around the field with 8 servitors and 4 multi-meltas.
And that's something you could deep strike outside of 3 inches. And be at melter range with all of them.
No, because the only way you would be able to, yes, actually, you could put them in strategic and deep strike them because they would gain the deep strike keyword. Yes, they would gain the deep strike.
I'm glad you didn't do that this game.
No, I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth it because that's 200 points, 50 for the servitors, 100 points for 2 squads, 90 for the tech marine. So it's almost 200 points, and it's a one-trick pony. It hits, it lands. You have to hope that it is, but you have to hope that it hits, hope that it lands, hopes that it finds a target.
Yeah.
It is still only hitting on 3s. 8
you
dice
still have
hitting.
to wound with the meltas against vehicles. They're usually wounding on 5. So
yes, so I don't feel like, and then at that same time too, now you don't have all those marine bodies to potentially protect. Like I was able to pick and choose between your guns and move back and forth between. Okay, I'm going to take it on a 2. Now let's let a servitor die. Take it here, take it. And now you're not able to do that because it's 1 wound guys just die. So I prefer doing it this way, so it's a little more defensive, and it also provides me more protection around 1 squad of strike that are objective control 2 with sticky objectives. Not a lot of that this game that I get to utilize that because, much like my army, you can bounce around the field pretty easily and with a good portion of your army. I mean,
it's not as bouncy as you, but still pretty bouncy. A couple of Inceptor squads and the kill teams being able to jump around, and the speeders have a 14-inch move too.
Yep.
So.
I was very happy with that rapid ingress on Castle and Crow.
We both rapid ingressed well. Because I made good use of it with the eradigators to get within melter range, and then you used it to get them both within shooting range and
you very much surprised me because that's the whole reason I brought the 5 interceptors in. Was in my mind, I'm like, okay, he wants these on the Dread Knights. So I'm going to put all my Dread Knights in the corner, and then I'm going to shoot at you with the interceptors. Then I'm going to move them forward, and now I'm covered because I had the Terminators here. I had this whole wall over here. Then I'd have the interceptors over there, and you wouldn't be able to get within melter range of my Dread Knights. And I thought I was big brain move on that one. And then you go, I'm going to rapid ingress back here. I'm like, oh. And that's my Land Raider. And that's going away.
Joke's on you. My plan was to kill all 3 Nemesis Dread Knights and the Land Raider in 1 turn. Which, considering all the tricks that, the fact that Oath of Moment does not have wound rerolls, I think that worked pretty well. I think the fact that I was able to use about 400 points to pick up the Land Raider, and then the rest of the squad's going in and killing 2 Nemesis Dread Knights and getting 1 down to 1 wound. Especially... that was the turn that one of my gladiators whiffed. Remember, I got no hits with the big lasers on the gladiators when I was shooting at the
Terminators.
No, when I was shot at the Dread Knight.
Oh, was it that? I thought he
whiffed on that too. Yeah, because then I had to do some work on it with the plasma inceptors.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that was including the Gladiator Lancer getting 0 hits with its lascans, even with the reroll. So
gotcha. So that really surprised me, and I was like, crap, I got to do something to get out of this. And then when you picked everybody up and brought it back over there, which I kind of figured was going to happen, I was waiting for it. I'm like, okay, I got him in this corner. And once I had you in that corner, I'm like, now close him with Crow and get in there, charge, hold you there. So now at least your shots, I'm containing you. The only disappointing part of it was that I didn't finish off the first squad. I put everything into it, really, really tried. And if I really would have liked to see that first squad die so that at least when I moved over into the next one, that captain can live, but the squad being dead so that when I could move into the next one, I think then I would have been able to tie you up in the right sequence that I was hoping that would have went over into my turn. Oh, you kill Crow in your turn. Now it's my turn. Now I can answer back instead of vice versa, which I do believe it happened that way. I felt like when I might be wrong on that, but I felt like as the game moved, I wanted one more whatever turn sequence we were on. I wanted one more moment that I was holding you there, and I lost that because I didn't kill the squad.
Yeah. Well, that's why Armor and Contempted. I actually was, you even managed to pile in and tag the other squad. Because if you hadn't done that, I could have picked them up and took
that was the whole plan. That was the whole plan.
Or fallen back with the other squad, and they could have just hosed the purifiers. So It's still, yeah. I mean, Armor of Contempt is real strong, and you can't complain about my armor saves, Mr. 2-Up Armor with True Silver Armor.
Hey.
You made a lot of saves today.
So now in the end of this, let's wrap this up with one important factor, which was why we played this game. How do you feel now going into those tougher, heavy, high armor targets, meaning the 2-up saves? I don't have the toughness that Custodes bring to the table by any stretch of the imagination, or their wound count, which makes it a little easier to take some guys down. But what I lack in the wound count, I bring in bodies. And I'm not saying Custodes is top of the meta, but we're looking at that level of efficiency for killing where we may see come in the future with things like Dark Angel Terminators or Thousand Suns and Grey Knight Terminators of the future.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about it. I think, and like I said, in terms of damage output, I didn't play super well. I overexposed myself a little early. And like I said, it took me so much shooting these 5 interceptors with Meltas and AP3 and AP4 stuff, and you made a lot of saves. So I actually feel pretty good about the damage output.
Those interceptors just didn't want to die.
Yeah.
At all, period. End of subject. They were just like, every time you're like, all right, AP3, I'm like, that's a 5.
Yeah. I didn't table you because you still had a 5-man squad of Terminators and, well, that was it. And 2 interceptors, right?
Yes. I had 2 interceptors and the 5-man Terminators. Yeah, avoided a tabling. High five me.
Yeah. But no, I feel pretty good about it, and it's going to take a little practice getting things lined up. And I like the speeders. I like both speeders. The buffs they give, and their shooting is pretty decent, all things considered. One of them, when I took the cover off of one of your Nemesis Dread Knights, they get a shot through and did D6 damage. And that just contributed to my ability to pick that one up.
So initially when I was looking at this and we were playing this out, I was thinking, man, I really think you need a smaller squad to be able to thread the needle at points. And then I looked back and I realized you still have the Eradicators. So you do have that smaller unit that in those scenarios you could pick them up as well and teleport them somewhere else. Mm-hmm. The only thing I think you're going to struggle with is your command points. Because you need... excuse me, you have stuff that you can do with a 0 ZP on the captain. And you're able to spend command points to only pick up 1 unit. Or, sorry, 2 units. And that's
2 kill
great.
teams, yeah.
2 kill teams.
I basically have all of my command points spent already, because every turn I'm going to want to pick up the kill teams with the teleportarium strat, and every turn I'm probably going to want to buff their shooting, either giving them extra AP or making them anti-infantry 2-up or whatever it may be. So I pretty much have every CP already. I don't have a lot of extra CP.
Any guaranteed way out of DeathWatch that you could get no command point or command phase?
No, I mean, it used to be the captain thing was that you could just use any strat for free.
Correct.
And so I would put a captain in a Terminator squad and use, so I'd spend 1 CP and teleport 2 kill teams, and then use the free captain strat to teleport a Terminator team, and then do the same thing with.
But at this point in time, there's no way for you to gain a command point at the beginning of the command phase.
No, because the only battle tactic stratagem for Space Marine or for the Deathwatch is just the Armor of Contempt. None of my other strats are battle tactics, so I don't get any other free strats, and there's no way to get free CP. There's no CP farm. I don't know. Does Gilliman do that? But I can't take Gilliman. So
no, I was thinking for you, just so you didn't have to discard cards and didn't have to rely on discarding cards to get that extra CP.
No.
It seems like you only need, like on turn 1 or 2, you need to discard 1 cards on turn 1 or 2, and that gets you that extra command point to just keep the gas in the tank.
Yeah, if I can go turn 1 without spending any CP, that always helps.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. When you go first, it's like, I went first, but I'm going to gain a command point. I probably have a secondary I'm not going to score, so there's another command point. And then I'm going to gain 1 in your turn. Okay, I'm starting with 3. Then you come into me, and especially with Grey Knights, you come into me. Oh, I True Silver Armor 1 thing. Okay, I'm down to 2. My turn, I'm back up to 3. Here we go. So yeah, I do. That's interesting point you bring up there, is that when you do go first, that's at least some way you can make it out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, well, that was a very, very, very tight game. I never, honestly, when looking at your list and that, I didn't think I was going to be able to even withstand it. So I'm still very happy with the Grey Knights. I might consider a couple tweaks, but honestly, I'd probably leave the list alone and just practice it if I was going to take it to a tournament.
Yeah, I think your damage out was pretty good. I mean, you killed a lot of my army, and you never even got to make a charge, or he never did tank shock with any of the Nemesis Dread Knights, and that's huge damage output right there.
That's my forte. That's my badge of honor.
That's your thing.
No tank shocks.
I was going to tank shock you, then I realized the speeder is strength 4. We're not tanking shocking with a speeder.
That would have been not have been a very shocking tank.
No.
Move. So, all right, guys. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed the battle report. Next week, again, we got our spooky battle. See if I can't get a hold of anyone in the community. Maybe throw down some Necrons. My Destroyer cult did rather well. I really want to play it into some more competitive lists and go, guys, is this good, or should I stop? Could this be something? That was a crazy last matchup we had. So, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.